You're sitting at your kitchen table, staring at your paycheck, and you're thinking, where does all my money go? You make decent money, maybe 50, 60, 70,000 a year, but somehow you're still living paycheck to paycheck. Meanwhile, your friend who makes roughly the same amount just bought their second rental property, and you're wondering, what am I doing wrong? Here's what nobody tells you. It's not about how much you make. It's about how you think about money. My name is Cashford, and I spend way too much time thinking about why some people build wealth while others stay broke their entire lives, even when they make good money. If you're someone who feels like you're working hard but never getting ahead financially, or you're tired of watching everyone else seem to figure out money while you're still struggling, hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if this helps you out. Look, I need to start by saying something that might make you uncomfortable. Being rich and being poor isn't really about money. I know that sounds crazy, but I've met people making $40,000 a year who think like millionaires, and I've met people making $200,000 a year who think like they're broke. And guess which group actually builds wealth? According to a study by the National Endowment for Financial Education, 70% of lottery winners go broke within a few years. These people literally win millions of dollars and end up worse off than before. Why? Because they had poor person thinking with rich person money. The difference between rich thinking and poor thinking isn't about being smart or lucky or born wealthy. It's about mental frameworks that change how you interact with money. And once you understand them, you can literally rewire your brain to build wealth. Here's the first big one. Poor thinking focuses on payments. Rich thinking focuses on assets. Let me give you an example. You get a $5,000 bonus at work. Someone with poor thinking immediately thinks, what can I afford now? Maybe I can finally get that $500 monthly payment on a new car. Someone with rich thinking thinks, how can I turn this $5,000 into more money? The person with poor thinking sees $5,000 and decides they can afford a $30,000 car. They put the bonus down and boom, $500 a month for 6 years. The person with rich thinking takes that same $5,000, adds $3,000 they've been saving, and buys a reliable used car in cash. Then they take that $500 they would have paid monthly and invest it. And do you know what $500 a month for 6 years at a 10% return turns into? $46,700. Same bonus, same income, two completely different outcomes. You might say, but Cashford, I need a car to get to work. And you're right, but you're missing the point. Both people got a car. One person spent $30,000 plus interest on a depreciating asset. The other spent $8,000 and gained nearly $50,000 in investments. Poor thinking sees purchases as the goal. Rich thinking sees purchases as costs that reduce your ability to build wealth. Here's something else that shocked me when I first learned it. The median net worth of American families is around $192,000. But under age 35, it's $39,000. Age 65 and older, $410,000. Yeah, Cashford, older people have had more time. Exactly. But poor thinking assumes time is going to pass anyway, so why sacrifice now? Rich thinking understands time is your most valuable asset, but only if you use it. Two people, both 25. Person A invests $500 a month for 10 years, then stops. Person B waits until 35, then invests $500 a month for 30 years. Person A invests $60,000 and ends up with about $1.36 million. Person B invests $180,000 and ends with $1.13 million. Person A put in 3 times less and ended up with more money. That's the power of compound growth. Poor thinking says, I'll start later. Rich thinking says, every year I wait costs me hundreds of thousands of dollars. Here's another trap. Income. People think their income is the problem. If I just made more money, all my problems would go away. No, they wouldn't. There's something called lifestyle inflation. Studies show that for every dollar increase in income, the average American increases their spending by 50 cents. Someone makes $50,000, lives in a $1,200 apartment, drives a used Honda, and feels broke. They get a raise to $80,000, move to a $2,000 apartment, lease a BMW, and still feel broke. Rich thinking does something different. When income goes up, lifestyle improves slightly, but investments increase significantly. You get a raise from $60,000 to $75,000. That's about $1,000 more per month after taxes.
Poor thinking, I can upgrade everything. Rich thinking, I'll improve my life by $200 and invest the other $800. In 20 years, that $800 a month becomes more than $600,000. The person with rich thinking upgrades their life and builds wealth. The person with poor thinking just upgrades their life and stays stuck. Here's something else. Debt. Poor thinking sees debt as a tool to get things now. Rich thinking sees debt as a tool to build wealth. The average American household has around $8,000 in credit card debt at about 22% interest. That's $1,760 a year evaporating. Poor thinking says, I needed it, I'll pay it off eventually. Rich thinking says, if I can't afford it in cash, I can't afford it, unless it makes me money. Two people want to start a $10,000 side business. Poor thinking puts it on a 22% interest credit card. If the business fails, they're buried. Rich thinking saves $1,000 a month for 10 months. If the business fails, they lose nothing. Or they take a low-interest business loan with a repayment plan tied to profits. Same goal, completely different risk. Here's another big difference. Learning. Poor thinking stops learning when school ends. Rich thinking treats learning as a lifelong investment. Warren Buffett reads 500 pages a day. Bill Gates reads 50 books a year. These people are already wealthy. They don't need to learn, but they do because knowledge compounds. I once spent $500 on a real estate course. That course taught me how to analyze properties. I bought a duplex that now makes $800 a month in profit. That $500 investment pays for itself every 3 weeks, forever. Poor thinking says, that's too expensive. Rich thinking says, what's the ROI on this knowledge? Most people also ignore opportunity cost. Poor thinking only sees the price. Rich thinking sees what that money could grow into. You might spend $150 a month on streaming services. That's $1,800 a year. Poor thinking, everyone pays for this. Rich thinking, if I invested $1,800 a year for 30 years at 10%, that's $328,000. Are these subscriptions worth $328,000? You don't have to cut everything. Just be intentional. Keep what brings joy, cut what doesn't. Here's a big one. Risk. Poor thinking thinks avoiding risk is safe. Rich thinking knows avoiding risk is actually the riskiest move. Keeping money in a savings account earning 0.5% while inflation is 3% feels safe, but you're losing money every year. $10,000 in savings for 30 years becomes $11,600. Invested at 10% becomes $174,000. Which one is really safer? Poor thinking confuses volatility with risk. Rich thinking knows the real risk is not building wealth. So how do you change your thinking? First, audit your current thinking. For 1 week, write down your decisions and the thoughts behind them. You'll see patterns. Second, calculate real costs. Before buying anything over $50, check what it becomes in 20 years at 10% growth. Third, automate rich thinking. Automatically send 20% to investments, 10% to savings, then live on the rest. Fourth, change your environment. Read finance books, listen to investing podcasts, surround yourself with people who think about money differently. Fifth, focus on income growth. Cutting expenses only goes so far. Build new skills, ask for raises, start side businesses. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Changing your thinking is hard. It requires sacrifice. It requires going against what everyone else is doing. But being broke is also hard. Being in debt is hard. Living paycheck to paycheck is hard. You're going to experience difficulty either way. The question is, which hard do you choose? The hard of discipline or the hard of regret? Rich thinking isn't about being better than anyone. It's about understanding money and making decisions that build long-term wealth instead of short-term gratification. Every wealthy person I know had to make this mental shift. They had to start seeing money as a tool to create more money. And the best part is, you can start today. Start small. Invest $50 a month. Read 1 book. Cut 1 subscription. Every action rewires your brain a little more toward rich thinking. In 10 years, you'll look back and say, I'm so glad I started. Or you'll say, I wish I started 10 years ago. If this video helped shift your thinking, hit that thumbs up button and subscribe for more content about building wealth and understanding money. And drop a comment. What's one poor thinking habit you're going to change this week? Remember, it's not about where you start, it's about the direction you're heading. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.